What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. It's the Pizza Guy John, and today we are going to be comparing two different types of flours. This is a 00 flour signature select, found it at one of my local grocery stores, versus I'm going to be making pizza with the Caputo Pizzeria 00 flour. I'm going to be following the same exact recipe on the back of this flour with this flour, and we're going to find out which flour makes the best pizza. So we have the same ingredients here. We have our 232 grams of flour. We got a 1/8 teaspoon of active or instant dry yeast. Either one works fine. This is a instant yeast. And in here I have the 1 1/4 teaspoon of salt, or 1/2 teaspoon of sugar, and then we have our water over here, which is about it's a full thing of water, but we're going to be measuring out 170 grams of lukewarm water between 105 to 115, and that's just going to activate it. Super simple recipe, placing all the ingredients in a bowl, mixing to combine, create a rough dough ball. Then we're covering, letting it sit at room temperature for 12 to 24 hours. After the 24 hours or so, then you're going to knead it a little bit longer, divide it into dough balls, and then we're letting it sit at room temp for 45 minutes to an hour before cooking. You could use it in home oven or outside oven, which of course we are going to be using our Gozney dome. So let's go ahead and get everything. Like I said, I already have everything mixed out. I'm going to be doing the signature select, basically the cheaper flour first, and then we'll get the other flour together. All right, so in our bowl first, like I said, we're going to be doing the 00 flour signature select. So I'm going to go ahead and just get that poured in here. Get some of this off. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add our yeast. Again, it's such a small amount of yeast. Basically, if you weigh it out, it's probably 50 point some, 40 grams. So I personally like to weigh in grams, but of course this recipe is calling for teaspoons. So we're just going to go ahead and follow it to the T, and let's see, how well can you make, good pizza using, that type of flour. Again, super convenient for anyone that lives in an area where you can't get the 00 flour. Of course, you could go with that flour. So let's go ahead and get that mix in there. And I'm going to go ahead and weigh out the water. So in the same thing that I have the flour, I'm going to go ahead and weigh out the water. Again, it's asking for 170 grams of water. So I got that tared out there. And let's go ahead and get our water. So 170, 160. And I'm just going to use a spoon just to make sure that I get it all in there. And perfect, 170. So we're gonna go ahead now. I'm just gonna pour all of it in there. Might as well. Get that in there. And we're just gonna use the dough whisk here. It's gonna mix this around. And the recipe says that it should make 2 pizzas. So again, we'll find out there. But I'm just going to mix this all together. And again, it says that's going to make a rough dough ball here. So let's go ahead and let's get the rest of this scrape. Okay. And we're just going to get, again, this is the salt and this is the sugar in here. So I'm just going to kind of get this mixed around. And so one distinct aroma right away when I was separating the dough, weighing it out, is that the signature select, I guess what you would call it as the cheaper flour, it has a little bit more of a distinct smell. So I'm not too sure what that could be, but it definitely smells like a flour that again is kind of cheap. So that's totally fine. But all right, we're gonna go ahead now, and I'm gonna get my hands kind of cleaned off here. And again, it's a little warm, so that's fine. All right, so we got that mixed. Now I'm gonna kind of clean my hands up, and then I'm gonna put it in a separate container. All right, so I'm gonna put it in this container. Again, I have a check mark here. Again, that's just gonna tell me that this is this flour, the 00 flour, signature select. It does say make it into a rough dough, cover and let rise at room temperature for 12 to 24 hours. Basically, it says that it will moisten as it rises. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead, put that to the side. I have a clean surface here. All right, so I have a dough scraper here. I'm gonna go ahead now and just get this, put that in there. Get this covered up. I may put some cling film on there so that way it doesn't, necessarily dry out. But now I'm gonna place this in a area in the room where it's gonna rise. Now I'm gonna do about 18-19 hours or so. So right now it is 1:15. We'll come back and check this one. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead now and do the next flour, which is the 00 Pizzeria from Caputo. So we'll be back. All right, so we have the other flour put away. Again, now this is the Pizzeria, Caputo Pizzeria flour, and the flour that I like to use. It's the 00 flour, my go-to flour you'll mostly find common in a lot of pizzerias. So here's the flour, again, 232 grams. I'm gonna go ahead and pour it in here. Then we're going to get our yeast, place that in there. I'm gonna mix this around just for a little bit, kind of get that yeast all around. And if you made it this far, like and subscribe to my channel. Check out my other videos that I have. Check out my reels that I'm posting almost daily on my channel. And now at this point, we'll go ahead and get our water. So again, same container that we had the flour in. Again, it's 170 grams of water, lukewarm water. And we're gonna go ahead now and weigh that out. And I'm just gonna use a spoon now. All right, 170 grams of water. There's our flour. We're gonna go ahead now, pour the water into our flour mixture here. Then with our whisk, we're just gonna go ahead now and mix this all up. And again, like I said, the aroma from the flours are definitely different. This one smells a little bit more like a wheat flour. So, all right, so we're just gonna mix this all around. Okay, I'm just gonna scrape all this off here. Okay, and then again, here's our salt and sugar mixture. And we're just gonna kind of get this all mixed together. And we can kind of get all this flour. And so one thing I've noticed, it's not as sticky, but we'll find out how it goes. All right, so then I'm gonna put this to the side. I'm gonna go ahead now and get this other container here. And again, I'm gonna go ahead, let me scrape some of this off my hands. Okay. And again, I'm just gonna go ahead, pretty similar container, dough container. We're just gonna go ahead and put that in there. We're gonna get this covered up, and again, 12 to 24 hours. So at the same time, tomorrow we'll go ahead and make the next part of it, which is gonna be divide and make our dough balls. So we'll put these to the side, 12 to 24 hours, and we'll be back day 2. All right, so it's been about 22 hours later. As you can see, the dough is really fermented. This is the point of fermentation, that it's really overproofed. The room temperature was basically cold, it was hot, so as you can see, it has grown a lot. This is the Signature Select flour, the cheaper flour, and then this was the 00 Caputo Pizzeria, so you can see it's a little bit more spread out. So at this point, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put this one to the side, and I'm gonna put a little bit of flour, and we're gonna basically just go ahead and spread this, get this rolled out and into one big dough ball, and then we'll divide it. So I'm just gonna kind of get this. It smells pretty good, but I'm just gonna get it to one big dough ball, make it to one smooth dough ball, then we'll divide it out. So let's get this out on that. So it is really soft. And we'll weigh it out and see how much this is. And it says after this point, once you divide it and make it into one big dough ball, that then it'll be ready within 45 minutes to an hour. About 393 grams. All right, so what I'm gonna let it do is I'm gonna go ahead and place it into a dough ball, and because I feel like it is not strong enough, I'm gonna go ahead and place it back into the dough box, and we're gonna let it sit room temp for about 15 minutes, and then we'll do the same with the other dough, so we'll be back. All right, so we let the dough rest now for 15 minutes. As you can see, this is the dough flour that is a little bit cheaper, and then again, this is the Caputo dough. As you can see, it's very, very different. It is a 73% hydration dough, so it's really hydrated, but I'm gonna go ahead and do one more rest period of 15 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna get my scraper. I'm basically just gonna go ahead and make this into another dough ball. Basically, I'm just building that gluten network because, as you can tell, prior to this, it was really, really weak since it's been sitting out for so long. It's really, really sticky still, so I'm gonna go ahead and just get this formed into another dough ball, and then I'll let it sit for another 15 minutes. So let's just go ahead and do this. Again, that gluten network pretty strong. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll let that rest now for another 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and do this one now as well. And I can really tell already the difference in the type of flour that they both are. But again, we'll take a look at that here again later. So let's go ahead and get this formed into a dough ball. And this is really taking the water nicely. So we'll let that sit another 15 minutes and then we'll come back. All right, so another 15 minutes has passed by. As you can see, the dough is, you can tell it's a little bit wet still, not as bad as it was before. It's really not expanding out, but at this point I'm gonna go ahead and divide it. Let's take a look at this one. This is the Caputo Pizzeria. Different texture, looks a lot more smoother, not as wet. You can see some more bubbles. So at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and divide it to 2 equal dough balls around 100 and let's say 180 of each. Then we're gonna let it sit at room temp for another 45 minutes to an hour, and then we'll go ahead and cook. During this time, I have also had the dome on low preheating, so that way we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and put this one aside. And again, check mark here, this is the cheaper dough. And I'm just gonna get a little bit of flour Actually, I'll do some semolina. But you could use the flour. I'm just gonna get a little bit of semolina here. Get this stirred. And let's just get this here and split this in half. And again, this is a high hydration dough, so if you need to put some oil on your hands or some flour, then you definitely could do so. So we're looking about 188. Then let's see what this one. $193. So we'll just take a little bit off of this one, put it here, and I'm just gonna get a little bit of semolina here on this board, on the working surface, and I'm just gonna go ahead now and form a dough ball. It says it should make 2 12-inch pizzas, however, they're gonna be pretty small, so go ahead and we're gonna put that in there. Same with this one, get a little bit of semolina. And a lot more stickier, but we'll be okay. Again, I'm just getting this nice. Pulling it tight. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put that there. And let's go ahead and do the same for the other flours. All right, so here is the Caputo Pizzeria flour. So let's go ahead and let's get this one out of the box. And we're looking about 350, about close to 400, 395. So let's go ahead, we'll split it down the middle. Let's see what we got here. About 205. This one is gonna be 190, so we'll just get a little bit off that. 196, and I think we're perfect. So let's go ahead, let's get this into a dough ball. And again, if you need to put a little bit of oil on your hand, a little bit of water, you definitely could do so. But you could also just work quick. Okay, get that one there. Same for this one. Go ahead now. I could tell this Caputo Pizzeria flour does feel a lot stronger. And again, we've done nothing different. Everything is the same. So let's get that there. We'll go ahead and get these covered up. And again, 45 minutes to an hour. We'll come back and we'll be ready to make some pizzas. It's been an hour now that I've divided the dough balls. Let's go ahead and take a look and see. So again, this is the cheap flour, or again, the signature Salette 00 flour that you can find at your store. As you can see, it still feels a little wet, but it's, you know, grown in size. And then if we take a look at the Caputo Pizzeria, looks a little bit more smoother, still a little bit sticky. Again, this is a high hydration dough, so according to the package, 232 and 170 is about 73% hydration. So it is a high hydration. Of course, if you wanted to cut the water down, of course you want to do so as well to get the hydration that you want. But again, we're just following the recipe. Simple pizza that we're going to be making. Just got some Parmesan, some mozzarella, and some Bianco di Napoli tomatoes. The oven has preheated now for an hour. It's ready to go. I'm hungry. Let's make a pizza. So we're going to go ahead and get this first dough ball here. I'm going to flop it down into our semolina. Let's coat it up nicely. Get some semolina on that. All right, and again, this says it makes chewy, crispy Neapolitan style crust. So let's go ahead. Let's get this stretched out. And it does bounce back a little bit, so fortunately it doesn't feel like it's fully fermented. Still a little cold, but we're ready to make pizza. So we're just gonna go ahead and just work this as much as we can. Get it stretched out. And there's definitely some air in there. But again, if you wanted to, you could make this go a little bit longer. Again, I'm just trying to push it all the way out. Get that crust. And it's starting to get there. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and get this stretched out. We're trying to be as soft as possible with it because again, it doesn't feel like the gluten is too strong. As you can see, it did rip. So again, gluten isn't as strong with this flour, but we're gonna go ahead and just make the best out of it. Again, it is a recipe that you would follow and most likely get these types of results. So if you want to like get some good results, I do have some recipes on my video, on my channel. They're guaranteed to get some really good pizza results, dough results. So let's go ahead. We're gonna get some sauce, and I'm not gonna do too much sauce. Again, it is really light. Do some Parmesan here. And we're not going to do too much cheese. Okay. And I'm not even really going to stretch it out that much. All right. And we're going straight to the oven that we have again preheating. Get this turned down. Disasters. And so the crust is puffing up pretty nice. And so we're gonna go ahead and get the first spin. Go all the way around. So again, it's gonna make some really puffy crust. This is more like a 5-inch, 6-inch pizza. You see, it does cook pretty quick because of the sugar that is in the dough. And go ahead and lift it up a little bit. Alright, just like that, it is cooked. Let's go ahead and get inside. And we'll get onto the cooling rack and then we'll start the next pizza. Alright, so now that we've made a pizza now with the 00 pizza flour from Signature Select, let's go ahead now, let's make a pizza with the Caputo pizzeria flour. Like I said, this flour is shown to be a little bit more stronger, a lot smoother. So we're just gonna get that flopped in there. And we'll see how strong this flour is. Get some semolina there. And again, the dough is still a little cold, so 45 minutes to an hour. Definitely not the way to go. But you can make it work as well. So we're just gonna go ahead and stretch this out. And again, as you can tell, the dough does push back, so it is just not fully ready. Unless your house is really, really warm, then, you know, that may be different. But 45 minutes to an hour is not long enough for something like this, especially because it does have not too much yeast as well. But the dough does feel a lot stronger compared to the other flour. So as you can see, it does allow me to stretch a little bit more. So that's one difference for sure. Now it is a lot stronger. So I'll just give a little bit more stretch. Again, really small pizzas, but going down with our sauce. Some of Parmesan. Okay, and we're just gonna go with a little bit of cheese again. All right, I'm just gonna go with a little bit of stretch. Okay, and we're gonna go straight into the oven. All right, and if you made it this far, like and subscribe, comment down below. Does it? Yeah. All right, so the pizzas have now cooked again. As you can see, this is the 00 pizza flour, using it the signature select. Let's listen to that. There's really not too much crunch, but it is a 73% hydration, fully cooked all the way around. Again, what I'm gonna notice right away with the sugar, of course, it's just gonna brown a lot quicker. Bottom is cooked nicely. Then we have the 00 Pizzeria Caputo flour. A little bit more crispier in the crust, not as brown, but again, there is going to be some brown spots. Fully cooked on the way to the bottom, so the main test is going to be tasting it. So let's go ahead and let's get a cut, and a little small piece. And let's see what this tastes like. Again, I'm just going more for the crust, and let's see. It's not a bad pizza. Definitely have some sweetness to that crust. A little chewy. All right, then let's take a bite of this one. A lot softer, a lot more airier. little bit more crispier. So let's go ahead. Yep, so you can definitely taste the difference. Again, this is going to be more Caputo pizzeria. Again, a little bit more airier, a little bit more crispier, lighter crust compared to this pizza here. A little bit more dense. It is a little crispy, but a little bit more of a dense flour or crust. So definitely, I would change a few things with the recipe. Again, not letting it sit out as long, maybe a little bit cooler temperature, letting it sit longer at room temp in ball formation. That way I can make sure that it is stretching out nicely, and the gluten's a lot stronger. So if it's something you like, take a look at my channel. Check out my Instagram at the Pizza Guy John. Drop a comment down below, and we'll talk soon.